Hi everybody, I'm Mahin and welcome to the first edition of Raks Me a Question. So this is going to be a new feature on the DBQ and we'll have a lot of different topics. Think of this kind of as a Bellydance Q&A and also a little bit Dear Abby for dancers. So we are going to be doing this hopefully on a regular basis. I've gotten some questions already from people and that's kind of what prompted this segment, doing something new. And this is also your Tuesday technique for the Daily Bellydance Quickies today. Now today, instead of showing you something to practice, we're going to talk about how to practice. And I got a really great question from Kelly, who lives far up in a remote area of Canada. And this is Kelly's question. How do you get and find and keep motivation to dance on your own when all you have are some DVDs to work with and no classes or dance friends to practice with? And also about self-study. How to organize your dance training for yourself with no guidance and a massive DVD collection wherein everything looks interesting and you have no idea where to start. Okay, so I have the feeling that she is not alone in this, and I've seen people post on Buzz about this, and definitely have gotten some questions in my email as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about if you don't have a teacher that is local to you, you don't have a class to go and show up at every week, how do you keep yourself on track with your dancing? So that's what we're going to try and answer today for you. And I've got a little help here from my little buddy, Mr. Monkey's going to help us out. So he's going to sit over here. So let's go ahead and talk about that. While having an experienced teacher that you have regular access to really is the ideal situation. If that isn't your situation, then it's not impossible to keep your learning on track. So from here, one of the best options is to learn to think like a teacher, even if you don't maybe have the knowledge that the teacher has. If you learn to think about how a teacher organizes as classes learning or private students learning, then that can set you up to help yourself. So when I'm planning my classes, I like to take an approach from having a skill set that I want to convey and a topic or a concept that I want to convey, and then I develop something that will be a way to apply it in context. So, for example, when I was planning my classes for this year, one of the things I did for planning the first half of the year is I decided that the first 3 months of my classes this year would be focused on classical style and the skills that uses. And so we did lots of drills and we did things like that, and we did lots of combinations with that set of skills, and then we applied them in choreography. For the second quarter of the year, we were focusing more on shabby skills, and again, it was lots of drills, combinations, and then we put things together and we created a choreography. So just like if you were in an academic classroom, you would spend your semester learning about something and then perhaps turn out a term paper at the end of it. That's kind of the culmination of what you're putting together and showing that demonstrating that you've accomplished something. So that's one way to look at this. Of course, there's many ways to handle this, but this is just one suggestion to kind of get yourself on track here. So let's kind of go with that one. Kelly says that she has a massive DVD collection, and a lot of dancers who are not able to attend regular classes do depend on DVDs a lot, and sometimes buy a whole lot of things. And you'll have that whole shiny thing, you see it online, you buy it, so you wind up with all this stuff, and then you're overwhelmed with what to do with it. So one of the things is that your DVD collection, if you look at it overall, is definitely going to give you a sense of what things have interested you over the course of your dance interest. So you'll take a look at it and you'll find, you have videos in different categories. So I pulled a couple from my own DVD collection. I don't have a massive DVD collection, by the way, but I do buy things once in a while. And for example, some things you're going to find are DVDs that are more arranged about the style of something, and they could be tutorial style DVDs or they could be performance. Like here I have Rania Renee's Bellydance DVD, one of my favorites. Here's one. This is Norhan Sharif's Raks. So these are both instructionals, but then I have other ones, like this one is Egypt in Dance. This is all folkloric regional dances. So this is a performance DVD. This is not an instructional. Here is Sarah Skinner's Veil, another one of my favorites. Sadie's Thrill and Drillin', and we've got Ruby's Floor Work, and another one from Rania Renee, her Taksim one. So if you look here, I've got some of these that are style-oriented, like these folkloric ones from the Egyptian folkloric in Isaiah, and Vale, I guess we'll consider that kind of a style, and Bellydance. And then other ones that are a little more skill-oriented, like the drill DVDs and things like that. So if you take a look at your DVD collection, kind of like sort them out a little bit, put all the style ones in one area, put your instructional ones in another area. You'll have an idea of some topics that have interested you. Just make a list of that. Now from there, we kind of need to take some focus. This is where we kind of get really, really distracted. So I learned a lot over the past couple of years from the work of people like Todd Henry and Chris Gillibo in particular, and I have shared things from both of these authors on the DBQ before. In particularly with Chris Gillibo, he does his annual review, and I always share that in January because I think it's a super useful thing to do. And in the annual review, he talks about choosing some focus for the year. I like to choose a couple of topics, a couple dance styles that I really want to focus on each year, and usually I try and choose 4 and do them over the length of a quarter. And sometimes they're personal for me, sometimes they're for my class, sometimes they run a both, kind of through both things, which is always nice. And then with Todd Henry, one of the things that I have learned from his work, he's the author of the Accidental Creative book and podcast, and he talks about building resource lists and gathering things in from different places. So if you are going to be organizing your own education in dance, then choosing a few things to focus on for the year, and you don't have to wait till January. You can just decide, I'm going to take a chunk of the next few months, and this is the one thing I'm going to work on. And that can help keep you focused. And from there, then you need some resources. They can come from a lot of places. First place you're going to hit up is your DVD collection, if you've got a big one. Pull all the things from that. You've got some performance DVDs in there, you've got some teaching ones, you've got some technique DVDs that support this. Let's say you decided to really work on your drum solos, so maybe you have a drum solo choreography DVD, and maybe you have some drill DVDs that really work on nice crisp skills and isolations and layering and things like that. You can, that would actually apply to what you're doing. So gather some of those. Look for other resources like YouTube clips. Build yourself a playlist. Keep your favorite things and keep them in a playlist, things you think are good examples of whatever it is you happen to be studying currently. Sometimes you'll come across good articles, blog posts, things like that that are all related, and you have to keep all this stuff organized. So you don't have to, even though you find it right away, you don't need to read it right away. So sometimes using something like Evernote, or maybe keep them on a Pinterest board, or something digital like that for a lot of the digital things, and just maybe a shelf that is in a place where you regularly pass by in your house, to keep your DVDs and books, if you have books on that topic, or any other things that would remind you, of during your day. Keep it out and keep it visible so that it stays in the top of mind. Next, you have to think about the time that you can spend. It's a good idea to schedule it regularly into your day, and to schedule both a study time and a practice time. So you have to remember, if you were going to be going to a class, then your teacher would be doing a lot of the study and research, and then bringing that material to class and then having you practice with it. But since you're doing this on your own, you're going to need to do both ends of it, and it requires more discipline and more effort. But if you don't have a class in your own, then that's what you got to do. So if you were talking about the study end, plan a time during the day when you have the time to do things like look for YouTube clips that inspire you, to search for blog post articles, to read through books you have, or work with the DVDs you have. Those will be actually more of practice. Things that you're doing that are not actually up and dancing. So looking for materials. And then your practice time is when you're actually going to get up and you're actually going to do these things. You're going to apply what you're learning. So, that has to fit your life. Maybe you want to have 2 or 3 days a week that you can put in a half an hour to an hour of actual dancing practice. And maybe you have, a half an hour each day that you can spend in reading your resources that you found before and looking for new ones. So, maybe that's on your lunch break at work. You want to look for blog posts then, and things like that. And it's also important to keep track of what you're doing. So a dance journal is highly recommended in this situation. For just, put the date at the top of the page, and what did you do? I searched for YouTube videos, I was watching, I was looking for American cabaret style videos, and I watched videos of this dancer, and this dancer, and added them to my playlist because I really like those, or I read a blog post or read some notes about what you got out of it, things like that. Just kind of keep a little bit of notes so you can go back and you can see your own progress, that you have been working and you've been working consistently, and also keep track of your practice. You spent half an hour working on section 1 from this DVD, it was this skill and this skill, and things like that. So where do you go with all of this? You're going and you're finding resources and you're practicing skills. I think that even if you don't have in your community some way to actually create a performance that you can show other people, there's some value in creating for yourself. Like I said, the student who writes term paper at the end of a class, this is your way of consolidating your skills to put them in context and to document them, and to sit back and reward yourself and be proud of what you did at the end of your cycle of, say, 3 or 4 months or whatever you decide to donate to one topic that you've chosen in your own study. So that's one thing you can do. And you can videotape it and no one ever has to see it beyond you, or you can decide to share it with other people if you want. And speaking of sharing, if you don't have a teacher and you don't have dance friends that are in your area that you can regularly dance with, the internet's a wonderful thing, and so you can definitely connect with people without having them in your own area if that's the case of how you are with your location. So I would encourage anyone who needs to study on their own to go ahead and reach out. I think that if you went on to Buzz in the student forum, you'd probably find some other people who are in the same situation as you, as not having people to dance with or to learn from. Maybe go online and put it out there that you're looking to spend some time studying this style, and is someone else interested in kind of joining you on your journey a little bit. That can be a really wonderful thing. You make a friend on Facebook or Buzz and find a way to connect with each other electronically, email each other, share articles, share blog posts, share YouTube clips, maybe Skype once in a while, talk about what you're doing to each other. Be accountable to each other, just check in with each other once in a while. Hey, what did you do in your practice? So that's a really good way to get ideas from other people, and to also have someone who keeps you accountable for keeping moving. Sometimes if you're a little stalled on a project, this works really well. I try and do this with some of my friends and say, check back in with me, make sure I finish this week. So I find that personally helpful for myself. Now, that's for someone who's kind of learning along with you. And even if you don't have a teacher in your area, there are a lot of teachers who do offer online lessons and can give you some periodic support, even if you can't afford or want to take weekly lessons with someone online. Even just checking in with them maybe every 2 or 3 weeks or once a month, just to get some guidance, is a really valuable thing. I do this with some students, and I do this with some teachers who are looking to get some help organizing classes and things like that. And it's a very valuable way to get some assistance without having a teacher immediately nearby in person. A trained eye is a very valuable thing, and so it can give you some technique support. It can maybe help you figure out things that you haven't been figuring out for yourself. For example, if you've been picking up steps from YouTube videos on a certain style and you're not figuring out why that's working on you, maybe there's some flexibility issues or strength issues, and some things need to be dealt with, and get a little help to get over a little rough patch, a little bump, and then get on with the rest of it. Give you some feedback on choreography, things like that. So, it doesn't have to be a big weekly investment. It can be something that you just get a little help with once in a while where you need it. So you don't have to always go it alone. There's peers out there, and luckily for the internet, those things are pretty much just there for the asking as far as having someone to go along with you. There's always somebody out there, if you ask in the right place, who is probably interested in sharing some resources with you and giving each other encouragement, which is a really great thing. So those are some thoughts that I have on how to get motivated and stay on track in teaching yourself if you don't have a mentor in person. So I hope those are helpful for you, and if you like this segment and you have some questions that you'd like to submit, go ahead and check the box down there for the address of my website, and you can always contact me through there with your questions. And like I said, this is kind of part Q&A, part Dear Abby kind of a thing, and I have gotten some questions about things like class etiquette and sticky troop situations and all kinds of things, and we'll go ahead and deal with those as we come up with them, because they certainly happen in our lives as dancers. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you have any thoughts. If you have other thoughts and things that have helped you in your own self-teaching journey, if that's the case that you're in, I would welcome you putting them in the comments down below in the blog here and sharing them on the DBQ Facebook page. Oh, and speaking of the DBQ page, if someone, if you're looking for someone to kind of do some remote study with, and you want someone who maybe is interested in being your little accountability buddy, then I welcome you to go ahead and put that on the DBQ page, and there's probably some other people in the community on Facebook and in the DBQ community who might be interested, and that's a great place for you to go ahead and connect with someone. So, okay, I think I'm going to wrap this up, and if you are in Northern Arizona, Colorado, or New Mexico, I'm coming probably kind of close to you in next month, and I will be stopping and doing some coffee shop Q&A type things like this along the way. So if you can also check that out on my webpage down there, box down there, check it out, and hopefully we'll have some of these talks in person. So, all right, Mr. Monkey and I are going to say bye for now. See you soon.